Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 22 of Baki Taki, Clash of the Alpha Males. That's also what this episode of the podcast will be, because we've got Scott back on on the pod. Say hi, Scott.
Glad to be back.
All right. I knew when I had this episode, I needed to get another alpha male on here to discuss what is probably my least favorite episode of the season so far. But I think it had a lot of highs and lows. I've already asked. We've already introduced you onto the podcast before, so just as a different fun question, since in between your two episodes, have you watched any other Baki? Have you been thinking, man, I gotta watch some of this show, or has it
No,
completely faded out of your mind the second you stopped
there's
watching?
there's there's a big gap of Baki and then no Baki, and now I'm back to Baki.
Yeah, no, that seems like a fair description. Oh my god, this is weirding me out. We're doing this call on Zoom on like Discord, so I can see my face as I'm recording, which is
Oh,
uh,
sorry.
oh no, that's fine. Maybe I'll be even better because I want to like perform for myself. Um, we'll let the viewers find out. All right, so Scott, this episode has a lot going on in it. I thought it'd be fun to have you back on because I don't think any of the characters from your episode show up in this one at all. Um, so I thought it'd be fun to just give you a bunch of random characters. So we'll just dive in. So do you want to describe how the episode starts in the telephone booth?
Okay, wait, did they change the intro since the last time I watched this?
Ah,
That's my
yeah, yeah.
that's my
Every
question.
every 13 episodes or so, we get a new intro and outro theme.
Okay, because it's like very like it's extremely muscly. The intro now is just like very homoerotic. Just this dude kicking and punching the air. All, just like black and white chiaroscuro muscles going. Yeah, it's a new thread in the Baki aesthetic, I thought.
A few weeks back, it's actually one of the earlier episodes. I was asking my mom what she thought of the podcast, and she thought a lot of your friends know the term homoerotic. Comes up a lot. Uh,
It's truly the underpinning theme of male friendship.
yeah, no, the new theme is it's probably my least favorite opening. I think it's like way too intense, and the animation is sort of a bit uncanny of Baki moving around. I like when he's
Oh,
doing the kicks, but the rest of it, not a big fan of.
yeah, Baki's way bigger than he was before.
And
Like when I last watched this, forgive me by, when I saw him last.
he's a different person now. He's had sex, so now
Oh,
he's a lot stronger now.
you know what? Good for him.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. So moving past the theme song, the episode starts with two large men and one small man in a phone booth.
You may be bigger than me, but in this tight space, that's no advantage. In fact, it's a disadvantage for you.
So, I gotta go.
What did you think was going on?
I thought it was an elevator. Because isn't it moving? Like the or no, I guess at some point it gets thrown up into the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was an elevator that had just somehow made its way out of the shaft. Because
No.
I a little bit like I don't really know what the scale of these dudes is. They're extremely large, and I like there are people who are like half of their size or less, and
Yeah.
you're like, damn, okay, so this dude must be 12 feet tall. So that's why I thought it was an elevator. I was just like, yeah, they're probably like 8, 10, whatever feet tall, standing in this elevator, completely filling it up. And then there's this poor little unfortunate dude that they're kind of smushing on the bottom. But then later on, one of the large dudes is like, "Oh, you're only 6'2".
Wow, Jack. You're practically a giant now. Even though I stand 6'2", I have to look up to talk to you. I think you're even taller than Toba now.
And I was really confusing. I was like, oh, this dude's
Well,
my height.
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, like that is jarring. Yeah, like Kanji Igari is 6'2", meaning that Jack Hanma is like 6'8" or 6'10" or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess one of the things is like the average person in Japan is going to be smaller than the average person in Canada, so it maybe just makes people look.
Yeah, these like European Ubermensches or whatever that they hire to put in their fighting rings.
Yes. To be fair, Jack Hanma is Canadian, so represent.
Okay, is Jack Hanma one of the dudes in the elevator when we start? Because one of them is
yes.
There's the Russian.
It's Sikorsky.
Yeah, the helicopter man.
Yes, Sikorsky and Jack Hanma and a man who was on his phone before they both walked into the telephone booth.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to talk to his girlfriend.
That dude on his phone, they just kind of dismiss. Like he just suffers the whole time.
It's like he doesn't exist. It's like they can't see him.
Yeah. He's just like cursed with pain, basically. He's the Job of this phone booth.
Is that a biblical reference or an Arrested Development reference?
I haven't watched enough for Arrested Development, but I'm a man of the Lord.
Okay.
My religious girlfriend just dumped me, and for a simple little misunderstanding. I mean, if someone was always asking you to embrace the Holy Trinity, what would you think they meant?
Job thought it meant a three-way.
Anyways. Yeah, they're just like smushing each other in this elevator, punching each other. The elevator, not the elevator, the phone booth gets like knocked over, and the smush man gets even more smushed as these two giant men are punching each other. Eventually, there's like a little flashback where, it reveals the animosity that these two guys have for each other, right?
I guess. It doesn't really.
Or like at least some of the backstory.
Well, let's jump back a bit. We'll get to the flashback just to quickly cover the mechanics of a fight inside a telephone booth, because I'm sure people are interested. Sikorsky says that Jack's at a disadvantage because he's so big, and then punches him 100 times in the face, but it doesn't do anything because Jack's so big. And then in a move that I wanted to get your thoughts on, if it's physically possible, Jack punches Sikorsky into the ceiling of the phone booth, lifting the phone booth and therefore himself off the ground. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's weird because they I think it kind of looked like the one of them made the punch from outside. There's a weird punch that makes it look like he's punching from outside, but then he also flies up and out with the phone booth when it gets launched into the air. So it's, I don't know.
It feels like, because if this is something that's possible, like my mind races to I could see this being in the next Fast and the Furious movie. Like they're driving and they're going to hit something, and so Dom punches the roof of the car and they just float over it.
Yeah, it's a very literal lifting yourself up by your own bootstraps type move.
Yes.
I we got to get these guys doing rocket design or something like that. They would do well in aviation.
I'm not giving them rockets. The first thing they would do with that rocket is throw it at another dude.
Yeah, probably.
But what was I gonna say?
Then our phone booth lands and they just squelch this guy. He's just getting smooshed more and more at the bottom.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm in your way, guys. Can I go now?
Civilian casualties. Very sad.
Yeah. If you gotta go out, on top like that,
Yeah, for sure.
So after the fight in the Jack lands one punch, punches them into the ceiling, flips over the telephone booth, walks calmly out of the telephone booth, and of course 3 men who I assume work for the mob come over and tie a rope around the telephone booth, cart it away, and we see Kanji Igari is back, the wrestler who's only 6'2".
Yeah.
And then we see some flashbacks. Now, just to give context, the reason I think this is the worst episode of the show so far is these flashbacks are just complete scenes from other episodes that they've tinted blue. and
sick.
they take up like, I'd say a quarter of the episode is just verbatim scenes from episode 3 and 4 also. Like, this is from 20 episodes ago that we're going back to.
Yeah. And so they don't even like edit them to give you a best of.
No, like, you know, maybe a little bit, but it's just like it's rewatching scenes.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the first scene, of course, is Sikorsky cutting open Igari's face. What did the flashbacks make you think of in regards to Sikorsky as a character?
Well, he does this move where he picks up a dumbbell.
The dumbbell, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the first flashback. He picks up the dumbbell, and it's got like, I mean, I'd say like 2 plates, but these aren't like 45-pound plates. They're like really thick. Like, so they've got to be like full, I don't know, 90-pound or whatever pound plates. So it's got 2 plates on each side, and he just picks it up by the one side of it and then swings it like a baseball bat to whap Kanji on the head. So it was pretty impressive from that point of view. But also just like totally over the top, just like, just the insane macho weightlifter shit. I don't know, it reminded me of the TV show Oz, because in that show they're always like assaulting each other in the weight room. Like, it's set in a prison, right? And it's very violent. That's like, if you want to know 2 things about this show, that's what you know. But just not an establishing shot in the weight room occurs in that show without there being the ominous like, oh shit, who's gonna get like killed by some form of, you know, some type of weight right now. How are they gonna do it this time?
See, I always love that with TV shows, like especially like real TV shows. I feel like they have like a limited number of sets, so like you will reuse a room a lot for certain, like in Under the Dome in the first season they had the salt mines, which they just kept going back to for a Fight Club as well. But I like the idea of a weight room in a prison. You'd think they'd close it down if people just kept like hurling weights at each other.
Well, that's like the best thing about this like prison, because they're basically like, yeah, this is the experimental prison. We're gonna try like giving the prisoners a bit more freedom, a bit more autonomy, maybe, you know, this more humane version of the penitentiary. So it's got this like, the idea is that there's this well-meaning liberal running it, but then all that happens in the prison is just like endless murder, homosexual rape, and like whatever type of horror, you name it. So it's like, why are they just letting his experiment continue to run when the governor is always like, if I have another death at this prison, I'm gonna have to shut it down. And then like 3 people die in the next episode, and he's like, if I have another death at this prison. So it's pretty funny in that way.
I'll have to keep an ear open for that show. Maybe that's the type of prison that Sikorsky escaped. You know, he just was.
Yeah, he would totally fit into that TV show, honestly, because they're like, oh, these are the Russians, and there's a Russian gang.
Yeah.
I don't believe that he's really Russian.
So after.
He like, does he pick up like a razor blade from the ground or something? Because he just kind of like.
So I was very confused when we first covered this, but I am now 100% confident. So Sikorsky's big thing is that he has very strong fingers. So what he did is he actually sticks out his knuckles and uses it yeah.
Okay.
And that's also why he's holding the weight, the giant barbell by just his wrist. You know, it's because his fingers are so strong.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Sikorsky's only thing, by the way. Like, you
like
missed
his hands.
Yeah, no, but not even his hands. It's just grip. Like in the last episode, he tried to fight Jack Hanma in a bathroom, and what he did is he jumped onto the ceiling and grabbed onto the fire sprinkler system and just hung there because like Sikorsky. He's a one-trick pony who has like a horrible trick. But
it's like the worst trick. But actually, I wish I had good grip strength like that. That would be awesome.
Like, unironically, be the most useful one to have on. Like,
Yeah.
The best is, this is a bit of a spoiler, but like so at the end of this season, they do this sort of like, where are they now with the prisoners and all of the death row inmates. It's like like they've all like off screen had huge power buffs, and it's like, oh, he's in a cave now and he can hear you from a mile away, things like that. Sikorsky's, he's in a jail cell, and it's like the guard's just talking, and he's like, yeah, you wouldn't believe it, I put a quarter underneath his door, and the next day he gave it back and it was folded in half. It's like, come on. Anyway, so it's too bad Sikorsky doesn't really get to use much of his finger tricks in this episode. But
No.
he wakes up in his telephone booth. He realizes, of course, first that he's upside down, which I think is a hilarious realization.
Where am I? Feels like I'm moving. It's cold. Probably glass. Something doesn't feel right. I'm upside down.
They pull back the curtains, and he has been wheeled into the underground fighting arena. Now, my favorite part of this is they never removed the other guy in the telephone booth. They just wheeled him into the arena. Like, did you catch that?
Yeah, he's just like the dead fly that they squashed and left on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
They pull the truck in, they're like, yeah, we got 2 guys here.
Like, the other guy just has to sort of like casually walk out of the ring. What if they just made it a tag team fight? Like,
Yeah.
Sikorsky can throw that guy. Editor Steve here. I actually misremembered what happened. The guy never got out of the phone booth. He might have died in there. All we see is this sad image of the truck backing up with the man still passed out in the phone booth. This is the audio for it.
It could be. I mean, it's kind of like it kind of has like a bit of a like aquarium or a terrarium vibe when they bring it, and it's like, oh, this is, like the tarantula is going to eat the other one. Because it's all lit up and he's in the glass case. Like, it's pretty cool.
It does look like a terrarium, especially it's, you have like multiple organisms living.
Yeah.
You have like the alpha male and the beta male living.
Yeah, it's like a whole ecosystem. What is a predator without its prey? It's dialectics, baby.
Oh my god. So it turns out that this whole thing, Jack Hanma inexplicably fighting Sikorsky and the mob bringing this man in a telephone booth to the underground arena, has been orchestrated by our good friend Mr. Tokugawa, the 11th generation businessman.
Well, Sikorsky. It seems like you're a hit with the fans.
So this is your doing?
Yes, Sikorsky. You can run, you can fight, or you could simply admit defeat.
And so it turns out that Sikorsky has to fight Jack Hanma in front of an audience. Just looking at the two of them, did you ever think there was a chance in hell that Sikorsky would win?
No. Because he got the shit kicked out of him the first time. Like, in the first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah.
Then they like flashback. He had some glory days, but like, buddy, they're not now. So I didn't think it was going to go well for him.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't jump over that because this is the first time you've seen it. Did you have any comments on the second flashback where Sikorsky puts some cups on the guy's head?
That's the like sushi restaurant one.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how they put in the little a fighter who only fights on cue is no martial artist, and that's his little tagline there. And then they come back and you're like, oh damn, he's about to get his shit handed to him.
Yeah.
Because you're like, okay, his own words used against him. This was Debate Club, he would be checkmated right now.
That was actually my favorite. Like, that was what they were setting up, right? Like, his own words. He's going to eat his own words. But they had this line where Jack is in the arena, and the narrator goes,
The irony of the situation was striking.
The irony was striking. But then, because it really wasn't striking, we have to spend 5 minutes like doing a recap so that we understand what's going on.
Just being like, this is the source of the irony.
Yeah. If you'll pardon me and listen to my thesis, you'll see why the irony is apparent.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, so then after we get out of the flashback, Sikorsky, I wrote in my notes, goes ape mode and just starts yelling.
Well, bring it on!
Have you ever seen that clip on Survivor where the guy just or it might have been like Big Brother or something, but there's like, have you seen it where the guy just starts going like, oh.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you afterwards.
Why are people like this?
For context, I was wrong. It's actually from VH1's Ton of Cash.
The people clap loud when you win a Grammy. They clap louder when you win an Oscar. But the people clap the loudest when you fall. And Champ got knocked out today. There are some last words that I'd like to say to the group.
I don't know. But Sikorsky just yells. He yells and yells and yells. And I was pretty impressed by his yells.
He like rips his shirt off. I think this is the point. Yeah, because the subtitles, I'm sure you've noticed, are not the same as the audio. Because they must have, I don't know, they must have just translated them differently.
What I believe is the subtitles are a direct translation from the Japanese, and the audio is an attempt to like make it sound like things people would actually say.
Oh, okay. Because he just shouts "Davai," which is like "go" in Russian, according to the subtitles. But then that's not what he said at all.
No.
He's like, "Bring it on!" like a whole spiel.
Yeah.
I was like, a Davai works better, but they're not trusting our Russian here.
No.
I don't believe that he's really Russian.
Oh, I'll have to keep an eye on that in this episode. Yeah. So then Sikorsky starts fighting Jack, punches him a bunch, pushes him into a wall. I think Jack threw him probably 50 feet. Like, it seemed like he threw him from one side of the arena to the other.
Yeah, because he basically lets Sikorsky go ham on him for a little bit, and then he just throws him across the arena, breaks the barricade. He's just like, again, just splatted against the side of the wall, just like, ugh.
That's what I mean by highs and lows of this episode. Is like, I wasn't too interested in Jack fighting Sikorsky. Like, Jack is he's just untouchable. Like, Sikorsky stabs him with like, I don't even know, a metal pipe? Like, what was that?
He like steals someone. He's like, okay, I've been thrown against the wall. I don't have a hope in hell. The ref told me, no rules. You do you. So he tries grabbing a nail from the ground, which is like, okay, come on, that's not going to do it. And then he also steals someone's cane, which is really sharp and also really large.
That was someone's cane?
Like, yeah.
I wouldn't let that guy into my restaurant if he brought that cane. He's going to scratch up the floors.
Well, no, this is in the Ultimate Fighting. Are we talking about the same thing?
No, we are. I guess what I mean is I assume that guy uses that cane in other aspects of his life.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think he just takes it to the Ultimate Fighting arena.
Yeah. But it's like the guy he steals it from is like 3 feet tall. And you're like, what are you going to do with that tiny cane? But then when he gets it down to the arena, it's like much larger. You're like, okay, not that tiny anymore. So he has a cane and a nail. And he's like, all right, this is it. Let's go. We're coming back big, baby. But that doesn't happen. He cannot stab Jack.
Especially not in the washboard abs.
His like washboard abs basically steal armor. He breaks the cane on him. And it's like, damn, okay.
You think you can gut me? You're gonna need something sharper than that.
And then what? He just like throws the nail at his face?
Yeah, he throws the nail right at his face, and then there's just a squish noise, and you're like, oh, it must have got him.
Yeah. And it's like, you can't just throw a nail at, like, I would throw a nail, it'd be like, damn, man, stop being annoying.
Yeah, but you've missed the like 10 times this season where people have literally plucked out an eyelash and then used it like a blow dart and pierced the skin of other competitors.
Oh my god.
Like,
this
usually
episode,
they aim for the eyeball, but
this episode, I was just like, what the hell is the pacing? It's just like one fight to another fight to another fight to another fight. But by which I mean, I was like, a fight to a flashback of another fight to another fight to another flashback, and then more fights. Yeah. I was like, yeah, damn, this is just 20 minutes of alphas clashing.
And like,
you need to slow down.
And what is the driving force here? Because like, obviously, like, Sikorsky theoretically came to Japan to taste defeat, but he also doesn't want to be here.
I'm getting out of here. This guy's like a freaking tank.
Jack Hanma doesn't want to be here. He's bored out of his mind.
Jack Hanma, is he the Canadian one you said?
Yeah, he's Canadian.
Okay.
Woo.
Captain Canuck, as we call him.
Yeah, well,
no,
Canadian hero, Jack Hanma.
Exactly. I'm not versed enough in the Baki lore to speak to their motivations, but I don't know why they come here.
Yeah, but I guess what I mean is, like, without motivation, we are just seeing fight after fight after fight, and like, it's tough to like.
Yeah.
Nowhere is this more apparent. By the way, we didn't say it, but if in case you thought that the nail pierced Jack's flesh, he grabbed it with his tongue and then turned it into like a cherry stem.
He chews it into like a little curled up nest.
Honestly, on this show, you get to a certain point of strength and you just become Bugs Bunny. Like that. Like, that is like
that was yeah, absolutely. And then just like spitting it out. Absolute Looney Tunes move.
And then Jack Hanma gets called back to Albuquerque. So in the middle of this fight, for no real reason, he tags out. I think because I'm gonna assume that Jack was bored, I was bored, and the author was bored. So instead, we get a character who's never been mentioned on the show up until now. 21 episodes in, but he is from the old series. It's Gaia, the master of environmental warfare.
Yeah, I was like, damn, what is environmental warfare?
It's mostly just throwing sand at people.
Yeah, and then I found out, I was like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Can you give us?
But we're going ahead of ourselves.
Yeah,
they're like, here's Gaia, master of environmental warfare, and then he's like, I brought a knife. And he throws the knife across the arena in at light speed, just so fast. And you're like, oh damn, Sikorsky's gonna die. He's fucking dead. And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna use my knife though. He's like, I brought a gun. And then people just boo him. They're like, dude, what the hell? I want my money back. Is what the people in the audience are saying.
Did you hear one of the lines? Somebody said, this isn't a paintball tournament.
Who the hell is this Joker? He couldn't beat up my mother. This isn't a paintball tournament. This is a rip-off. I want my money back.
Yeah, because when he came out at first, they're like, oh, look at this little cuck man, because he's kind of small.
He's wearing army fatigues.
Yeah.
Smiling a lot.
And I don't know, you would think that they might be happy because they'd just be like, oh, you know what, there's going to be some blood. Like, the people who come to the Tokyo Dome Underground Arena are not coming for a humane evening of sophisticated entertainment. If it's just like, yeah, this is a smart guy, we're going to watch him get the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would be fine with that. Anyways, obviously they don't want to see the gun when he brings that out. And he just kind of shoots it at what? I don't know.
It's just a blank, I think. Or not, he just shoots it at the ground, I think.
feel like he shot it at the other wall of the arena or something. But I'm like, dude, you're just gonna shoot someone in the audience.
Can you imagine going out to like an MMA fight and just somebody shoots the audience?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Relax. I'd never taint my reputation or stoop so low as to use a weapon procured ahead of time. That's the opposite of environmental combat.
I mean, it's like once upon a time, sports were a lot more dangerous to go to, I guess.
Malice in the Palace too. Everyone's loaded.
Yeah, I'm just going back to when he brings this gun out. He's just like, it's a gun. He just pulls it out of nowhere. Like, just out of literal thin air.
He hit it in the environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm like, oh, good, environmental warfare. Then he throws it away. He's like, that would be disgraceful. I wouldn't do that. But
yeah, it was just to make the point of I'm not the type of guy who uses a gun, just like every other fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also like it was really something on Baki was done. It was dumb. Like more news later, right? But
so
that was my take on that.
Yeah. Well, we also forgot that. So earlier in the episode, Sikorsky showed how alpha he was by ripping off his shirt and screaming, and the audience seemed pretty impressed.
Yeah. / bring it on.
So Gaia also screams. Can you describe what made Gaia's scream so impressive, Scott?
What was his scream?
Oh, did you miss? He just screamed into the sky. I don't know if he said anything, but he broke all of the glass and the lights in the ceiling.
Oh, right. Oh my god, fuck yeah, I forgot that. And like everyone's ears are ringing. They're completely deafened. I was like, what is mastery of his environment? And he's just being here like, I will sing you into deafness. That was a cool choice.
My favorite line was afterwards. He said, "Just imagine if I had a microphone."
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's how a microphone works.
Yeah, I think it's implied he like breaks some of the glass in the
ceiling.
There's just like distant shot of the ceiling and things cracking.
So yes, so what we've covered so far is that bringing a knife, bringing a gun, that is not environmental warfare. So if you're in the underground arena, what is environmental warfare?
It's just throwing sand.
Sand.
There's more to it than that, but he starts throwing sand and you're like, is this environmental warfare? And then it's like, okay, let's amp this up a little bit. The sand is full of teeth from everyone who's ever lost a tooth in the underground suffering arena. So he's just like throwing teeth.
Yeah.
Basically, like handfuls of teeth. He's
throwing it at like shotgun levels of speed.
Yeah. He's like, even a scoop of water in my hands would be a powerful weapon. Sand is even better. And he throws the sand at him and it's like, oh, it's full of teeth. And the teeth are like shards of glass.
Yeah.
And just like scything Sikorsky until he's covered with like a million tiny cuts and he's just bloody all over. Just, this giant, bloody, muscly man, just suffering, not doing well.
I'm sure when Sikorsky was doing his martial arts training and like getting really strong fingers and all that, he never thought that a grown man would throw sand at him so hard.
Certainly not with such force.
No, you're right. It would be a lot better if he didn't have such force. He was just throwing sand at him and he just had to brush it off. That wouldn't be that bad. I see it as like an indictment on the underground fighting ring. Like, there is so many teeth in that sand. Like, they must make millions on ticket sales to this thing. Like, recycle the sand every once in a while.
Well, yeah. Like, wouldn't there also just be blood in there if there's like this many teeth just sitting there in little fragments? Wouldn't there be? I mean, I don't know. There are fucking nails in it, as you know. Like, they never clean this place.
And they don't pay people for fighting in here either. It's all people just fighting to be like for reputation. This is exploitation, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty exploitative.
Do you think they should unionize?
What do you do with that reputation? Like, where do I pay my rent with reputation?
You tell your landlord that I won in the underground fighting arena.
Yeah.
And I'm not. Then you tell your landlord that. Then you shoot the ground beside him and you say, I don't need this gun.
Yeah. Also, I need you to raise my ceilings so they're 10 feet tall.
Oh man. So yeah, so that's how the episode ends. We get a very ugly shot of Gaia as he throws more sand at Sikorsky. And next week we'll find the thrilling conclusion to Sikorsky being even more defeated.
This episode was so short.
It's because so much of it is just a recap. Like it feels like a clip show.
Yeah. It was like, damn, did like nothing happen in that episode except like a series of fistfights? And it's like, well, yeah, that's exactly what happened.
A man went into a telephone booth, got beat up, exited the telephone booth, got beat up by the same guy, and then that guy tagged out and somebody else threw sand at him.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I might just edit down this podcast to that like 20-second description. just release that.
Yeah. 3 men got into a telephone booth. 2 of them left. One of them just... We don't even know what happened to them.
Jack Hanma is just wandering off again. Jack Hanma with no motivation this entire season other than beating up guys. Ah, boy. Anyhoot. So that's the episode. Scott, I asked you last time if you thought Baki was a good show. I can't remember. What was your answer? I feel like it was probably a no.
I was like, I don't know much about this show, but I don't think it's good.
Yeah. now that you've watched a worse episode. Well, that's going to be my new question is, compared to the first episode, which one did you have more fun watching? The original one, which was Spec versus Hanayama, or Man Goes into Telephone Booth?
I think it's a good question. I feel like the Spec one has a lot of weird stuff going on, whereas Jack Hanma and Sikorsky are pretty bland characters, comparatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So probably that one. This one, I mean, the other one, I was like, I don't know if it's bad or if I'm just missing the context. Whereas this one, I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of bad. Even if I had the context, it would kind of be like, can you guys make an episode that's not just like 3 fight sequences connected together? Like, maybe work on your pacing a little bit.
You just missed all of the Baki Kozue relationship drama that's been driving the season. It just climaxed, to use another fitting word, a few episodes back.
With Baki losing his virginity.
Yeah, it was.
Baki became a man.
He's finally stopped wasting the first 17 years of his life.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I don't even know anything about Baki is the other thing, because I haven't really watched any episodes of Baki in any significant involvement. I think he just had like 2 lines at the beginning of the last one I watched, and then it was like, bam, Spec, introducing.
Well, I'll probably have you on one more time before this whole experiment ends, so I'll make sure that it has that this episode, whatever the next one, has Baki in it. Hopefully when he's in jail and we can talk more about Oz.
We love going to jail.
Yeah, well, he's in jail all of season 4 or 3, depending on how you divide it.
Yeah, you want to talk about wasting 17 years of your life, Baki.
Iron Mike Tyson tells him that. So, thank you for coming on the pod again, Scott. Great catching up with you. Great talking Bach. And I already used it. That's all the Baki we've got to talk. See y'all next week.